The ending of Elite Force Episode 1 transforms what seems like a straightforward military drama into a far more personal and dangerous story. While most of the episode focuses on GIGN's successful operation against terrorists who steal military explosives, the closing minutes reveal that the team's greatest threat is only beginning and that David's been carrying a 15-year-old secret involving Max's father. The episode ends with a shocking explosion that raises several major questions heading into Episode 2. The final scene suggests that the terrorists are far more organized than anyone believed. Earlier in the episode, GIGN successfully intercepts one truck carrying half a ton of CL-20, one of the most powerful explosives ever developed. David prevents what could have been a catastrophic massacre by stopping Sergeant Osman before the truck reaches a school bus. Initially, the mission appears to be a complete success, but investigators soon discover they were only fighting half the battle. The second truck successfully reaches its destination, another kidnapped soldier is murdered, and another half-ton of CL-20 completely disappears. That revelation changes everything. The enemy now possesses an enormous quantity of military-grade explosives, experienced bomb makers, and the ability to coordinate multiple operations simultaneously. The bomb beneath Christoph's vehicle proves they aren't simply stealing explosives to stockpile weapons, they're already using them. The assassination attempt is also incredibly sophisticated. Whoever planted the bomb knew Christoph's movements, had access to the GIGN compound, and timed the explosion perfectly. That immediately suggests the organization isn't made up of ordinary extremists, but professionals capable of infiltrating or closely monitoring France's elite counter-terrorism unit. Whether Christophe himself was the intended target or whether David was, is left unanswered. But either possibility demonstrates just how dangerous this enemy really is. Throughout the episode, David behaves in ways that initially make him look unfair and almost cruel toward Max. He subjects him to brutal questioning during selection. He changes the final examination at the last second. He even admits to Natalie that he actively tried to make Max fail. At first, it seems like simple favoritism in reverse, because Max is the godson of one of the instructors. By the end of the episode, however, it becomes obvious that David's actions come from guilt rather than resentment. 15 years earlier, Max's father served beside David in GIGN. During a mission, an explosion killed him. Ever since then, David's blamed himself. Natalie's confrontation confirms she has never forgiven him either. She reminds David that her husband might still be alive, if not for whatever happened during that operation, making it clear that David carries responsibility, whether legal, tactical, or simply emotional, for the tragedy. David isn't trying to ruin Max's future, he's desperately trying to prevent history from repeating itself. The biggest mystery introduced in the episode comes during Christophe's confrontation. Christophe tells David that remaining in GIGN isn't really about protecting Max. Instead, David refuses to leave because he's never told Max the truth. That conversation changes everything we thought we knew. Until then, everyone, including Max, appears to believe his father simply died during a dangerous mission. Christophe's comments imply the reality is far more complicated. The episode never reveals exactly what happened, but it strongly suggests David knows details that would completely change Max's understanding of his father's death. Several possibilities are hinted at. Perhaps David made a tactical mistake, perhaps he gave an order that indirectly caused the explosion, perhaps Max's father sacrificed himself to save David, or perhaps the official version of the mission isn't true at all. Whatever happened, David clearly believes revealing the truth would destroy his relationship with Max. Ironically, by refusing to tell him, David only creates an even bigger emotional burden. The final question Christophe asks says everything. How can David protect Max in the field while still hiding the truth about his father's death? That line becomes the emotional cliffhanger of the episode. Max hears the conversation, and that's one of the most important details in the ending. Neither David nor Christophe realizes that Max is close enough to overhear them. Although he doesn't hear every detail, he hears enough to understand two things. First, David's been deliberately hiding something from him. Second, whatever happened to his father isn't the full story he's always believed. That revelation alone is enough to completely change Max's relationship with David going forward. Until now, Max viewed David almost as family, a mentor who served alongside his father. Now, he'll likely begin questioning whether the man he trusted knows more than he's ever admitted. Earlier in the episode, Christophe quietly reveals he has stage 3 pancreatic cancer and only a few months left to live. Rather than dying from illness surrounded by family, he instead becomes the victim of a terrorist bombing before he can even begin retirement. His diagnosis makes the explosion cruel. Christophe had finally decided to leave GIGN to spend whatever time remained with his wife. Instead, the terrorist may have stolen that chance entirely. If the explosion proves fatal in episode 2, it also means David loses not only his commander, but one of his closest lifelong friends, the only person who fully understands what happened 15 years earlier. David spends most of episode 1 planning his retirement. He dreams of sailing around the world with Jess and Manon. Christophe's illness initially reinforces that decision because it reminds David how fragile life really is. Yet, after Max graduates, David changes his mind. Officially, he says he can't leave because he wants to protect Max. Jess immediately recognizes that explanation isn't the whole truth. She's waited years for David to put his family first, even turning down a career opportunity in Singapore because she assumed he'd never leave France. Now she finally decides to accept the promotion herself. Her decision highlights one of the episode's central themes. Being part of GIGN doesn't only demand sacrifices from its operators, it also demands sacrifices from everyone who loves them. David himself says during graduation that the real heroes are often the spouses and families left behind. Jess's decision proves exactly what he means. The ending of Elite Force Episode 1 sets up two parallel conflicts that will drive the rest of the season. On the professional side, GIGN now faces an exceptionally dangerous terrorist organization that still possesses half a ton of CL-20, has already infiltrated France's security apparatus enough to target senior personnel, and appears capable of striking almost anywhere. Christophe's car bombing demonstrates that stealing the explosives was only the beginning of a much larger operation. On the personal side, David can no longer outrun the past. Max has officially joined Tactical Unit 1, despite David's attempts to stop him. Natalie still holds David responsible for her husband's death. Jess is preparing to move to Singapore, and Christophe has forced David to confront the truth he's been hiding for 15 years. The final explosion ties both storylines together perfectly. Just as David is about to face the consequences of an old secret, the terrorists launch what appears to be their first direct attack against GIGN itself. Episode 1 therefore ends by making one thing clear: David's biggest challenge won't simply be stopping terrorists, it will be protecting Max while finally confronting the truth about the mission that claimed his father's life before that secret destroys what's left of their relationship.